Okay, let's be real. We are all just drowning in a sea of information, right? You've got documents, articles, videos, notes, all scattered across a dozen different apps. It's a mess. But what if you could build a personal AI that's an expert in your world? Today, we're going to dive into Google's NotebookLM and see if it's finally the answer to all that information chaos. I mean, does this sound familiar to you? You've got health reports in one folder, meeting notes stashed somewhere else, and a whole graveyard of YouTube videos saved for later. The info is there, but trying to connect all the dots, it's a manual, time-consuming nightmare. So let me ask again, what if you could build an AI that's an expert in your information and, this is key, only your information?
All right, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, let's figure out when you should actually use it. See, this isn't your average do-everything AI chatbot. It's a specialist, and the real key is knowing when to call in that expert. So think of this as a quick three-point checklist. Number one, you have a really low tolerance for the AI just making stuff up. You know, what we call hallucination. You need answers you can actually trust. Two, your information is a total mess, scattered across all kinds of different files and formats. And three, what you really need is to turn all that chaos into something useful, something cohesive, like a summary or an FAQ, or maybe a list of trends. If you're sitting there nodding your head to all three of those, well, NotebookLM is probably the tool you've been waiting for. Okay, theory is great and all, but let's actually see this thing in action. We're going to build a personal health notebook to tame years of medical data and health content. This is where it gets real. We go from just talking about it to seeing actual results. So, time to feed the beast. We're uploading 3 pretty dense health reports, an excerpt from a book, and, this is my absolute favorite part, a couple of YouTube videos. And check this out. NotebookLM just automatically transcribes them. It turns all that spoken video content into searchable text, right there next to our PDFs. And just like that, our scattered library is finally all in one place, unified. All right, now that all our sources are in the same sandbox, we can actually start talking to them. So let's ask a question that, let's be honest, would normally take hours of boring, painstaking work. What are the top health trends hidden inside all these reports? And bam, just like that, in seconds, NotebookLM has chewed through all 3 documents and found this crucial connection, a consistent trend of elevated uric acid. I mean, this is exactly the kind of pattern that's so easy to miss when you're just manually sifting through pages and pages of data. It's not just summarizing here, it's actually connecting the dots for you. So, okay, now we have a lead, elevated uric acid. Now remember that YouTube video we uploaded earlier? This is where it gets cool. We can immediately pivot from identifying the problem to digging into solutions, and we do it all within the very same conversation. No context switching, no new tabs. Okay, and this right here is the absolute killer feature. This is what builds trust. When NotebookLM gives you an answer, it gives you an inline citation. See that little number there? You click it, and boom, it takes you to the exact passage in your source material. This thing isn't a black box. It literally shows you its work, and that's how you know for sure that you can trust the answer. Hey, listen up, because here's a really crucial pro tip. If the AI gives you a great answer, you have got to save it as a note. Why? Because NotebookLM respects your privacy. It doesn't train on your data, which means your conversations just disappear. They're ephemeral. So if you don't save it, that amazing insight is gone forever. Okay, so we've seen how powerful this is for personal stuff, right? But the exact same principles apply in a professional context. Let's really quickly explore a few practical use cases, from something as simple as user manuals to as complex as meeting notes. You know that junk drawer we all have? The one overflowing with user manuals? Yeah, that one. Imagine scanning all of them into a single notebook. The next time you need to, say, update the firmware on your camera, you don't have to go digging through that pile of paper. You just ask your notebook, and you get an instant cited answer. Done. Or, let's think bigger. A business could take all those super dense government tax codes and combine them with their own financial reports. Then you could ask really specific questions like, hey, based on my travel last year, do I actually qualify for this specific tax exemption? It basically becomes your own personalized financial research analyst. Now, this one could be a total game changer for anyone in recruiting. Imagine you upload the job description, your interview rubric, and a candidate's resume. Then you can just ask it to generate tailored questions for that specific candidate. It's an incredibly powerful way to streamline your prep and make sure every single interview is super focused and effective.
We all know that onboarding new people to a complex project can be a massive time sink. So instead of that, just imagine uploading all your project plans and meeting notes, and then simply asking NotebookLM to generate an FAQ for new team members. You get an instant shareable onboarding guide, and you save the entire team hours of answering the same repetitive questions over and over again.
All right, we've covered the fundamentals. Now it's time to get into a few of the power user features. This is the stuff that takes this from just a useful tool to something that's, well, pretty much indispensable. Okay, this feature is just fantastic. You can take like a dozen really dense articles and ask NotebookLM to generate an audio overview. It literally creates a personalized podcast episode that summarizes all of your research. And you can even tell it who the audience is. Something like, hey, explain this to someone with absolutely no technical background. And here are a few quick-fire pro tips for you. If you're using Google Docs, just hit resync to make sure you have the latest version. Run into a website that's blocking the AI? No problem. Just copy-paste the text as a new source. And if you ever get stuck and don't know what to ask, the suggested questions are a fantastic way to kickstart your analysis.
So, after seeing all of this, what's the big takeaway here? In this super crowded world of AI tools, where does something like NotebookLM actually fit?
Well, it really all comes down to one fundamental trade-off. NotebookLM is built for accuracy. It will not hallucinate because its answers are always grounded in your source material. Now, the price you pay for that reliability, it's less creative than a general-purpose AI. It's not going to write you a beautiful poem, but it will give you the facts from your documents every single time.
But the real differentiator here, the thing that sets it apart, is scale. A single notebook can handle up to, wait for it, 25 million words. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a staggering amount of contact for an AI to work with. And to put that number into perspective, just look at this difference. You've got 25 million words for NotebookLM compared to maybe 500,000 for Gemini or just 64,000 for ChatGPT. I mean, this isn't just a small improvement. This is a completely different category of tool. But, and this is a big but, all this power comes with a really crucial responsibility for you. Because the AI is only as smart as the sources you give it. The quality of your input is literally everything. High-quality sources will get you high-quality insights. It's the oldest rule in computing, and it's never been more true. Garbage in, garbage out. So in the end, NotebookLM isn't really just another tool. It's a totally new way to interact with your own knowledge. It transforms your personal library from just a static collection of files into a dynamic, intelligent research partner. All your knowledge is right there, waiting. The only question is, what will you ask it first?